Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier and have a balanced lifestyle. Our first guest today is Julie Makin, a psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy, and we will be exploring whether rejection is sabotaging your self-esteem. Welcome, Julie. It's so great to have you.
Lovely. Thanks very much for having me.
So what is rejection?
Okay, so rejection is a feeling that we get within our bodies. So when we feel it and when it comes up for us, it's kind of like an internal wound. And when it's touched, when something happens to us within our environment and that wound is touched, it really hurts. That can also trigger the brain's same process. So that might trigger that feeling in the body, that pain and hurt within the body. So it is actually felt as a physical pain.
And what is self-esteem and how is it impacted by rejection?
A lot of people actually seem to get confused between confidence and self-esteem. And confidence is confidence in abilities. So when you're a fantastic cook, you're great in the kitchen, but take you out of the kitchen and put you in, to be a car mechanic, and all of a sudden you're not so good. You're not going to have confidence there, but you have confidence in the kitchen. Self-esteem is about how you value and perceive yourself. It has to do with the stories that you tell yourself. I don't matter, and I'm not good enough. And when we're telling ourselves these stories, it actually affects our how we feel about ourselves internally. And when we feel about ourselves that way internally, our body language changes, our energy changes, and it affects the way not only you perceive yourself, but how others treat and perceive you. The way that rejection affects low self-esteem, I'd like to tell you just a little bit of a story about myself. Look, I grew up in a household where my parents would be gold standard parents, all right? So what they taught me was, to be compliant. They taught me to do as I was told. They taught me that other people matter, to put others' needs ahead of my own, that not to talk over anybody else because that would be rude. But in actual fact, what they were teaching me was that I don't matter, to put everybody else ahead of me. And what I can tell you is that in order to be authentic, to feel good about yourself, you really need to be asking yourself, is this right for me? And checking back in with the body and how it feels. Find that reconnect with the body. I grew up with IBS. So I really started to notice it back in high school. I had this mass bad pain in my gut. It was seriously like a 9 out of 10. And I found myself going past the empty classrooms. It was recess, past the metalwork room, past the woodwork room, past the kids that were out there playing t-ball, and I didn't think I was going to make it to the reverse charge, phone, because I wanted to call my mum. Anyway, I got down there, was able to call my mum. My mum came and got me, and by the time I got home, the pain had subsided. I felt safe at home. So rejection not only has you feeling a pain and hurt about how you value and perceive yourself, but your body also responds to it. It helps you to escape. The IBS would actually help me escape the school ground. It helped to show me when I don't feel safe. And just to lead on from there, as an adult and understanding how rejection affects my body, and when somebody else is attacking you, your body shouts loudly when needed, and it's up to us to listen. So rejection, self-esteem, your body's letting you know. Now, because I was brought up in that family, I'm going out there into the world with that conditioning. And so I'm actually attracting people to me that are perhaps wanting to manipulate me. And They know it from your body language. They know it in how you speak about yourself, how you approach others. And you may find manipulative people that will take advantage of you. And I do feel that this is where domestic violence actually comes into play. To me, mental health and that feeling of safety is really number one priority for our community, for our society, for our government to start listening.
If someone's been rejected, how can they rebuild their self-esteem? Can you tell our audience how they can build their self-esteem, what they can do?
Of course. Okay, so when somebody's feeling hurt and pain, it's from a previous wound. So I invite them to start asking themselves, is this safe? Do I feel safe? First question. And the other question is this right for me? Yeah, it's really important. Once you start doing that, innate boundaries will start coming in as you start to heal yourself, and you'll find that things change. Yes, there might be pushback from others around you because, oh my God, all of a sudden you're, not being so subservient. You're starting to listen to what is right for you. And when you do that and you continue to do that, others around you will start to change how they approach you, how they respond to you. And another thing that I invite your audience to do is if they have any feeling like their emotions are feeling overwhelming, or perhaps there's a situation where their emotions are more than what the situation requires, I really invite your viewers to seek a professional therapist. Go to pages where people have association membership to ensure that you're seeking out the right professional assistance. And I invite viewers to also note that people who work with the body, I feel that that's where it's at. I feel that trauma, Bessel van der Kolk, he's massive in the US, big psychiatrist, and he notes that trauma cannot be healed from conscious mind therapy only. We need to start working with the body as well. So please seek professional therapy.
That's really helpful, Julie. Thank you so much. If you would like to know more about rejection and self-esteem, and Julie Makin, please visit her webpage on our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll be back with another interesting guest and another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, Jacqui Grant, an NDIS business consultant and empowerment coach, will be discussing the 3 fundamentals for a healthy working environment for neurodiverse people. Welcome back. Our second guest today is Jacqui Grant. She's an NDIS business consultant and empowerment coach. And the topic we'll be discussing today is the 3 fundamentals for a healthy workplace environment for neurodiverse people. Welcome, Jacqui.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Jacqui, please list for us the 3 fundamentals for a healthy workplace environment for neurodiverse people.
In the workplace, so many people who are neurodiverse or have neurodivergent traits, it comes with a lot of challenges. So one of the first things is that they are understood, like really understood for what they require as an individual. Number 2 is that the work environment is willing and able to support them. So for example, for some people, feeling overstimulated. It can be such a challenge with too many lights, too much noise. It can be quite distracting. For some people, dyslexia is a problem, but they can still do their job. They just require maybe voice to text to help them as a spell check, little things like that. As that continues to be evolving, so some days traits are really good. Like, for example, hyper-focused, got the job done. Other days, nope, can't remember what those instructions were 5 minutes ago. Got part of it, but not all of it. So as a workplace creates those changes for the person, and they don't have to be expensive, the person can feel more comfortable and engaging in their job, and importantly, enjoy their job, which helps them to mask less, helps them to increase their energy and be a big part of the team. And the third thing is that they are having some allowances for those times when they're just not coping. For example, if they're triggered with what is commonly known as a meltdown. So it could just be going into overwhelm and needing to be able to walk away, going to a quiet place, being able to get up and leave their workstation to have that time out. Could be a walk around the park, it could be a walk outside, it could simply just taking some time away from everybody to feel calm, centered and grounded.
How does understanding the individual help?
So when it comes to being neurodiverse, everybody's unique, just as everybody's unique that's neurotypical. In the workplace though, if you understand each individual's requirements who are neurodiverse, and we focus on that more because it can be very overwhelming and confronting for the person who has neurodivergent traits. So when you understand as an employee, as well as the manager, as well as the co-worker, that your person that you work with has these uniqueness, these traits that they may need to follow. For example, for some people who have both ASD or on the autism spectrum and ADHD, some days they like to follow the rules and they understand exactly where everything is. But on other days, ADHD is a bit more at play, so that hyperactivity, that spontaneity, and it's like, no, there's too many steps to go from looking for a file, for example. By understanding that as a manager, you have a staff member that needs to make adaptations as to where to find that file or that information, can make their job so much easier, which in turn makes your job so much easier. So understanding each individual's requirements makes the workplace much better, not just for that individual, but for everyone else. And then as part of that, productivity can go up, more likely that everybody will show up to work because it is an all-inclusive environment, and especially for the person who is neurodivergent. One of the traits that I have as a person who has the diagnosis of ADHD as well as ASD or autism is my hyperfocus. Once I focus on a task, it's done.
If you were neurodiverse in your workplace and hesitant to talk to your manager about your needs, what's some advice you could offer to initiate this conversation with your co-workers and your manager?
Basically, there's a couple of steps with that advice. One is really get to know yourself as an individual. Like, think of your worst day that you may experience in your workplace first and write that down. Like, what is my worst day? If I get overwhelmed, if I get exhausted, am I likely to storm out of the workplace? Like, am I likely to sit in the corner and cry? Am I likely to just, complain to everybody and overshare? Like, what's the worst case that can happen? And then from there, you can say, what do I need to minimize that occurring in my job? So thinking about the job, thinking about the worst case scenario and bringing that together. And then as you bring that together, you can then say to your manager, so I'd start with the manager first and say, I'd just like to have a conversation with you about some of the things that I find challenging in the workplace that I would really like to minimize those challenges to make it so that I can come to work every day, enjoy it and do my best job. And having that positive approach of being the team player and wanting to make it work and knowing your worst case and explaining that the best way you can will make all the difference, because your manager is then potentially seeing it not so much as a challenge, but as something that, I want to work with that person. I want to help them to be part of the team and bring out their strengths, because when we bring out strengths in ourselves and each other, the workplace, for example, is such a better place. And really take your time then to have that conversation with the manager in a space that there's plenty of time. If you need to bring some evidence that helps back up your, with my dyslexia, I found that this works, so an app or something, and having the expectation of being heard, that you open communication around solving the challenge and and having the solution. Now, if you're still having trouble articulating your specific needs, then having a coach that can actually help you articulate that can be a great place. And then for it to ripple out into your co-workers, you then say to your manager, look, can we let people know that, when they're constantly calling me, it's actually quite triggering, or whatever it is, and then seeing how a team approach can happen.
That's such important information. Thanks, Jacqui. If you'd like to know more about the 3 fundamentals for creating a safe working environment for neurodiverse people and Jacqui Grant, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, psychic medium and author Anthony Kilner will be talking about the differences between physical and metaphysical life experiences. Welcome back. Our next guest, Anthony Kilner, is a psychic medium and author, and the topic we'll be discussing is what are the differences between physical and metaphysical life experiences. Welcome, Anthony.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks for having me here again.
So what is the difference between the two?
Wow, this has got to be my all-time favourite topic. We talk about physical and metaphysical. Physical is objective, it is what it is. You got a pain in your knee, you got a pain in your knee. The metaphysical, or the subjective interpretation of what that pain represents, now that becomes more of a challenge and a bit of fun, because it'll be subjective, requiring interpretation, so much like a dream. So if we use the left knee as the example, the pain in the knee, you've got a pain, you've bruised it, you've done something, damaged it, it's sore, and that's what it is. You go and see your doctor and you get it fixed. However, if you took notice of it and how it happened, then that's going to give you an understanding that maybe things from your past you're not being very flexible about letting go, and so the knee represents flexibility in your direction, so that then means you're not being flexible in your direction because past things are holding you back. And the knock or the bruise or the damage as a result of taking note of that is to make you really aware of that interpretation. If it was the right knee though, and you had the same pain and the same, oh my gosh, I've got a pain in my knee, what's that? It's about not being flexible moving forward. And while they sound very similar, one is the past holding you back, one is a fear stopping you from moving forward, so you're not being as flexible in your direction as possible. So that interpretation applies to your whole physical body. All right, so if we look at the hand, for example, it does, the left is past, the little finger represents children, the ring finger, relationships, the index finger, sexuality, then we have our pointer, that is you controlling the situation, thumb represents you're under the thumb. So if you get a pain in your thumb and you might think, oh, why am I getting that? And it's on the left side, you might feel that you're being put under the thumb by someone who's trying to control you. All right? Now, as we're sitting here, we can hear it, audience might not, is there's a siren going off in the background. So when we're talking about things and you notice the siren going off, then that's a warning sign for you to be more aware of what's happening around you, to maybe not say what you're about to say, those sorts of things. So the universe actually helps create all these messages that are subjective or metaphysical, subjective, and require interpretation. And it all's based around what you do. So then we have, like I said, eyes represent how you see. So left eye is how you see the past, right eye is how you see the future. All right? When you get stressed, most people carry stress and burdens in our shoulders. Feeling a pain in the middle of your back is like somebody stabbing you in the back, and you might get that while you're thinking of somebody, and you'll just go, oh wow, that pain feels really intense, and that's how it comes across. So there's all these different things from the universe. Your house represents things, so you know, a blocked toilet is, you know, you have to get a plumber in to fix it. It could then also represent that you're holding on to too much of your rubbish and you need somebody to help you to let it go.
What can we learn from our everyday life experiences?
Best thing in understanding all of this is don't go looking for it. Everyday experiences occur because the universe is trying to get us messages, right? Different from dreams. The universe is providing that. And so if we notice something, we interpret it. The multitude of experiences, you can put it out there, and I did this when I was living in India. It was every morning I would say to the spirit world and to the universe, as part of my morning ritual, okay, so give me a sign as I walk along my path on the side of the hill that what happens there will mean or say make sense of what my day is going to be like. And so some days I'd walk out and there'd be a dog sitting there and it'd come up and have a pat, and a dog represents loyalty. Right? The colours of the dog would then be, if it was black and white, it'd be like finding balance in loyalty. Right? Other days there'd be a butterfly come out of nowhere and just sort of either land on me or hover in front of my face. And again, that means there's transition occurring in that day. Walk out and there's a cow blocking the path. Now in the Indian culture, cows are sacred. So then there's a sacredness to my journey, and I have to maybe find a way around that without disturbing it, but learn more. So all those things come into play. And in our daily lives, problems with cars. So, you get a flat tyre and say it's a flat tyre on the right rear and it's a front wheel drive car. All right, so we're mashing it all up because, ex-mechanic, I can talk about these quite well. Most people understand a car. So right rear wheel, it's not a drive wheel, so there's something that's stopping you for a moment, that's dragging you back, right, to stop in your direction and think about where you're going and what you're doing. And that then, you fix the tyre and you get moving again, but you need that breather to understand what's happening in that space. Why can't you move forward? And that's what the universe provides. And water leaks are the same. Water represents emotions. So if you've got a water leak in your car and it's a radiator, there's something explosive happening. There's frustration, there's anger, there's hot, there's steam. All those things come into it. So if you interpret it, you might say, well, in your direction, what's stopping you from living a happy life and being nice and relaxed and calm in your direction? Why are you getting frustrated and angry and hot under the collar, so to speak? So all of those things are important, and the universe provides a plethora of that. So the understanding is to embrace it in your everyday life, is to just learn and take note of what's actually happening in that space. What does it mean? Absorb it and just move on.
Do you have any suggestions for our viewers in their own journey in discovering the difference in their own lives with the physical and metaphysical?
Yeah, my big suggestion first off is journal. Write everything down. So if it grabs your attention, write it down. It's super important, because then you don't have to think about it later, you can just interpret it. A good dream interpretation book is good as well, because interpretations for dream and subjective are very similar. Also, finding someone that can help you to interpret it if you're not sure. And that's really important. And I find sitting circle, which is, the spiritual aspect of learning all of this stuff, your body doesn't lie. Your body tells you what's going on. You've just got to pay attention to it. In a good circle, you'll learn that as well.
Thanks, Anthony. That's such rich information. If you'd like to know more about Anthony Kilner and the difference between the physical and the metaphysical life experience, please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And that's all for us today, and we'll say bye-bye for now and see you next week. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.